Dear Warner Brothers, look out. There's doubt you can survive if California has its way and stops Paramount from buying you out. Today, we'll tell you the latest, including what analysts are saying, declaring from CNBC that the house built by Looney Tunes, Batman, and beyond just might not go on if Paramount cannot finish the deal. And who's trying to stop the deal? Well, we hate to squeal, but it's Rob Bonta, the Attorney General for California. It's not just Hollywood at risk anymore, folks. They're trying to destroy studios. The woke mob being led by generals, an attorney general, that is, in California named Rob Bonta, who simply will not allow what everybody now knows must be allowed. We've got Lou with us today to explain what's going on. We've got a panel, we've got a story, we've got a topic. And all we need you to do is click that like button and maybe subscribe. Concerns are now being raised that if California raises R-A-Z-E, anyway, if they destroy the deal with Paramount and Warner Brothers, that Warner Brothers might not survive. Oh my, California, what are you doing? It's not just Hollywood that's at risk, it's the iconic tower as well. Lillian Rizzo is writing this for CNBC. Lost in limbo, where the Paramount merger delay leaves Warner Brothers Discovery and what may come next. Get ready, because this is fascinating indeed. It says Warner Brothers Discovery is feeling whiplash. It was only last summer that the company said it would split itself into two and began the process of creating separate publicly traded entities, Warner Brothers, which would have housed the streaming and film units, and Discovery Global, which would have run its global linear TV networks. Change seemed to be happening at breakneck speed, but after a sale process and a delayed merger with David Ellison's Paramount Skydance, much of that has ground to a halt. Warner Brothers CEO David Zaslav said during an earnings call earlier this month that executives have been trying to drive the value of the company in order to have Warner Brothers in the best shape possible for when the merger closes. But that was after a group of states led by California General Rob Bonta filed to block the deal on antitrust grounds. The start and stop means Warner Brothers Discovery has fewer options on the table at a time when the media industry as a whole is charting new paths. The company, made up of the storied film studio, a portfolio of TV networks, and a prestige streaming business, once looked agile. Now, it's cautious. And here's where we get into the stuff that matters. Quote, "This is as good a deal as Warner Brothers Discovery is going to get, and they are going to have a difficult time totally walking away here with no more than a breakup fee." Quote, says Tom Rogers, a media veteran who's currently senior advisor to Versant. Quote, "So I think they have plenty of incentive to also figure out how this deal could get done. The proposed $110 billion sale price should be a windfall for Warner Brothers. Paramount has agreed to pay $31 per share to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery. And if regulatory approval is delayed beyond September, Paramount will start owing a ticking fee. But the question remains, will Paramount be buying the deal if it goes through? What happens to Warner Brothers if it doesn't?" And essentially, Lou, what this goes on to talk about in this article is that if this deal does not go through, Warner Brothers could be seen as a bargain bin kind of buy for somebody, because they would lose out on this opportunity and suddenly nobody would be willing to spend anything close to this ever again on Warner Brothers. So this is make or break for them.
Yeah, but the deal's going to go through.
Right.
That's
but is this more
of this whole article? So
is this more? Oh, so you've read the article?
No, I'm just saying if they're questioning whether it's going to go through, they're wrong.
But is this more pressure from places like CNBC then, Lou, where we're finding out there is no alternative? Bonta has to let this go through, or else somebody has to overrule him. This must happen, because not only are they risking Hollywood, they're now risking the existence of Warner Brothers by trying to block this at this point.
Absolutely they are. And it doesn't seem to matter to Bonta for some reason, because he's, as I've said, he and the Netflix guy are the kind of people that Alfred warned us about, who just want to watch the whole world burn.
I think that's Mr. Ledger as well, and then the latest incarnations of Batman. But Steve, there are so many brands here in this deal, and they're all being risked. If this were not to go through, you might see a fire sale of some of these brands. Warner Brothers would not be worth anything in comparison, but I also think that they're diminishing the value of so many studios in California, because if they cannot be bought and sold according to the free market, then suddenly they don't have value on the free market. Like
exactly,
it damages everybody in Hollywood right now. Everything is getting crushed by this, and the box office as well, as this promise that Paramount is making. Hey, we're going to make all of these movies through this merger. Those aren't being made if there's no merger. So everything is on pause here. Even DC, if they say it's not, is on pause.
But I mean, they're a conglomerate. So the Warner Brothers in and of itself obviously is a decent sized company, but they just own a whole bunch of pieces. So for them to do a fire sale, they probably wouldn't make. I mean, I couldn't even say that. They might actually have a better deal if they tried selling out everything individually as opposed to as a one shot, because then you're not going to be fighting as much antitrust, because they could fire off all of their different properties and IPs over off to different studios and ask whatever their actual value is.
But would that be good for Hollywood, for all of these brands to suddenly be, you know?
I don't think any of this is good for Hollywood.
No,
but at this point, I mean, really, there's not a lot of competition anyway, if we're going to be completely candid. So it's not going to affect that so much. What would obviously be best for Hollywood is if it got out of Hollywood. That's
the effort of Warner Brothers and Paramount, right? Is to get out of Hollywood.
Because it's all of the California laws and regulations and stuff that are holding them back. And Lou, I don't know if this is true or not, but would they be, if they were in a different state, would they be subject to the same rules and regulations as the Actors Guild and all that kind of stuff? Or could
talk about the unions control?
Well, the unions are national, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
They're signatories. What happens, however, is how people get paid depending on whether it's what's called a distant location or not. And I've explained this before, but some people might not have heard it, so let me briefly explain. You have to, when you are in the Directors Guild, etc., declare your home base, so to speak, and say, hey, I live in Los Angeles, and therefore, if you hire me in Los Angeles, I'm not on location, and you're not paying me per diem, and you're not paying me for a hotel, or you're not paying me for first-class travel or all those other things. So a lot of people, especially a lot of assistant directors that I know, get approached by people saying, we would love to have you on this movie we're shooting in Atlanta or wherever, but I can't swing all of those perks. But if you showed up there with a valid address, find a cousin who's got an apartment you can use, and said, hey, I'm local, and walk on without those, we'll hire you. So this is how people get around the union a little bit.
Okay.
Does that happen, Lou, with more? Does that happen with more remote locations as well, or is that
happens anywhere?
Okay, so it's not concentrated in a few media markets where that's permissible. It's actually
it works. Permissible. They just do it.
Okay, understand. Well, now talking about
if they get caught, they have a problem, but people look the other way, and you know.
Talk about how this is being spun. We've got this from the Wrap and being reported by Home of DCU, so totally unbiased. It says Paramount would want to keep James Gunn and Peter Safran's DC Studios if the merger were to pass. This is reporting from the Wrap. But folks, what you got to do is you got to be able to read
DC Studios. It's Paramount's DC Studios.
Well, that's the thing, Luke. My mind. So that's the wordplay here, right? James Gunn's and Peter Safran's DC Studios. Take out James Gunn and Peter Safran from that. They want to keep DC Studios. Well, obviously they do. The question is, do they want to keep Peter Safran and James Gunn? And I would say, no, Lou, they don't want to keep them, obviously.
Well, I don't know if we should say, no, they don't want to keep them. We hope that they don't want to keep them.
Well, I don't think they want.
We hope that they have this idea that they would like to make money based off of the properties.
Their need to make money is accentuated by this whole deal because they're taking on a lot of debt to make this deal, and they want to pay it off someday. So if you it's a what have you done for me lately situation with these guys. What have you done? You've made a lot of failure. And so we don't trust you anymore. And so adios, muchachos.
So Lou, given the fact that Warner Brothers may not survive if this deal is undone now, it must go through. There is no way that California is going to block this. There's just no way. We've already passed the threshold.
For trying to block it are absolutely not legal. And that's what will happen now once this all goes to the Supremes. They'll tell them, listen, guys, you don't do antitrust. The federal government does, and they've already decided. So,
right, it's already been tried at a higher court. We're already through this. We're the regulators,
like the little person stamping their feet and crossing their arms and saying, "Well, I don't want to go to bed." Yeah, but it's bedtime. But I don't want to. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It's not up to you.
Has bonta become the villain now, Lou, even amongst the Hollywood types? I mean, because even the trades are saying this has got to get
doing
done.
himself any favors. Let's put it that way. And it's not a question of whether he's a villain amongst the Hollywood types. It's a question of whether he's a villain amongst the Democratic Party people, who the last thing that Gavin, who wants to be president, wants is for his economy of his state that he's already run into the ground to go even further into the ground because of this deal.
Yep.
Not happening. So
who knows? Maybe he's got a future with the DSA, but the broader Democrats, I think he's been.
I'll tell you how this does affect the DSA, though. When we started this, Steve, you were talking about, well, if they can't sell it and it sells off in pieces and all of that, it's not just about the movie business. It's about every business in this state. And if what you're telling them is, guess what? Thanks to our wonderful government, we're going to make you worth 1/10 of what you used to be and have to sell it off as a fire sale. Well, that's what Mandami is doing to the grocery stores in New York. And that's why all of these oil companies and insurance companies have left California already. And it's not exactly the greatest advertisement for socialism and big government that ever.
Lou, you've inspired me. I now see the light. Just like the grocery stores in New York, the California government needs to sponsor a state studio. We must do this.
I know where they can buy the real estate relatively inexpensively.
You know what's funny about that, though, is if they do that, then all the actors guilds and unions, all the people that they're doing this for, they're going to rise up and fight California so it can't happen. Just like in New York.
Lou, I'm getting info right now. Apparently the Palisades is open for new studios. Is that right?
Oh, yeah, right. Sure. But at the rate that they're building anything in the Palisades, it'll be 10, 20 years before.
It's a little charred, but, and soaked with tears. But other than that, it'll make for great studio space. When you stick around for the entire video, it really does help the channel. And we're so appreciative of that, ladies and gentlemen. Imagine that you would stick around and hear everything we have to say. The studio is glistening because you're listening each and every day. If you're not yet subscribed, well, you should be. And click that like button. Until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.